Hello, and welcome to you all. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of This Week in Astro. This episode is brought to you live. It is being recorded in front of our amazing community of astronauts. And it is the week ending the 26th of June, and it's been a freaking exciting week in itself. There is so much that's happened this week. Yeah, let's get straight into it. To keep up to date with everything to do with Astro, go to the github.com/with Astro Repo, and here you can keep up to date with the docs, the RFCs, the actual Astro project itself, and you'll be kept well versed with all the recent changes and developments that's happening to your much loved favourite framework. Now we're going to fly straight into the community news this week, and the community news itself is going to dominate the entire episode. We've got a lot to get through, and honestly, there's so much, such an exciting week to be part of the Astro community. And there's been a number of them, pure highlights, and this is definitely one of them. So we start off by taking a look over the community call. Now the community call was back on this week, and it was led by Nate. Here we were just basically going to go in and take a quick look over the agenda. Now the agenda was pretty straightforward. We were welcoming new maintainers to the group this week. 4 new maintainers, in fact. We were also making announcements about Matthew's improvements when he was performing the audit over Astro. There's a new Astro Island approach that was adopted that's dropped the old Astro route approach that was used when it came to the wrapping containers around your hydrated components. There was also major improvements made when it came to the actual build times, more on that later. Announcements to the recursive partial hydration. Now this is just nested hydration or donut islands or archipelago architecture. Take a pick, have a name. But nonetheless, there was discussions about that. There was also discussions about exposing name slots to renderers, and also renaming a couple of APIs. And we also took a wee dive into the issues that were needing to be discussed as well. So guys, the next one is next week on Tuesday, 7 o'clock GMT time. These are all GMT time, guys. So yeah, by all means, pop along, and it's there in the Astro live chat. And now we're going to be welcoming our new maintainers. Like we said, there was 4 new maintainers that came onto the scene, right, that has joined Astro. And so the first one that we would like to welcome is Jan, our very own Sidebar Thomas. Jan was nominated by Sarah, and to be honest, it was really fitting for Sarah to nominate Jan. Jan really fell under her wing and really took to board and what she was saying, what she was, the direction she was leading the docs in, and really took to it. Jan's influence in the docs team now is honestly, he's such a wee power. He's so much fun, so much fun. You put a PR out immediately, Jan is pretty much there, 30 minutes or less. And this is the thing, Jan's story into the open source community is pretty much tied with Astro, from what I've seen. His first real contributions, to open source projects was the Astro project, and the Astro project is the #1 project for new contributors to GitHub, and Jan really does epitomize this. Like his behavior entirely, every contributions that he made, the way that he owned the sidebar. I mean, completely owned it. So that's why we call him Jan the Sidebar Thomas. And I've made stingers for everyone who's been nominated. So Jan, this is your very own little welcome on board the maintainership, dude. Welcome in. Jan, you are going to enjoy this one, mate. Our very own little Goku found himself a Dragon Ball. And then next up was the nomination by Chris. Now, Chris nominated Hippo. Chris and Hippo had a very strong working relationship, and when I mean working relationship, the relationship that they had has helped shape the docs phenomenally. Watching him and Chris work together hand in hand has been fantastic, and not only that, watching Hippo grow relations with other members in the project and other community members, and his support and the way he interacts, and it's just fantastic. I am so happy we have managed to find our own Hippo, or better yet, I'm so happy that a Hippo has managed to take residence in our very own watering hole. So yeah, we're really happy to have him amongst us, and it was great that Chris nominated him, and it was great that he got through the voting process for both Yan and Hippo. Was just so heartwarming to see everyone else feel the same that we do, especially in the collective, the fuzzy collective that is. And for Hippo, my friend, your very own stinger.
Yeah, it's the Hippo song. Hippopotamus, hippopotamus, hippopotamus. Ow!
Hippo! Hippo! This is what we're like when we see Hippo. And then we come to my two nominations. Now, I put two nominations in, being cheeky as I was. But they were two members of the community that, one, I felt that should have been recognised for this a long time ago. It was surprising. Ernesto has been a long-standing contributor to the Astro community. He's been such a vehement supporter for the cause, and his work, the way, again, his interactions, especially in the support squad, has helped shape the support squad. Him, Moinum are two enormous forces, two great squadron leaders, and I'm glad that he's here. Personally speaking, I've got a good relationship with Ernesto, and I've got nothing but the utmost respect for this astronaut. He is, because that's his role. You know, he owns this role. He's helped set the tone when it came to how we manage other users. The support squad is a collaborative effort, but his collaboration is a monumental force in this project. And I'm so happy to see Ernesto now blue, now a maintainer. So, you know, his value, his gravity has got its own distinct orbit and is only fitting to see. So yeah, Ernesto, my friend, your very own stinger. Hope you enjoy this.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
And lastly, I wanted to nominate Klaxon, Pascal Schlip. We know him, but we know him in the community as Klaxon. He is developers who I class as cartographers. People are coming in and willing to explore the landscape, even when it's dark. You know, the forest is thick and it's dark and you can't see the sky above you. But they're willing to go out there and be able to come back with a map to tell you exactly where the chasms are, where the river is, and you know, the lay of the land. He won the hackathon. He won it with his Pascal courses because he's shown us how interactive we can make our environments on the client. It was amazing. And I'm so glad to have Pascal here because he is a real boon to the community, a real strength for us. And Pascal, my friend, you have your very own little stinger as well, dude. I hope you enjoy this one. Now we're moving over to the pulse, and we're just going to basically put our hand to the veins and just take a look over how things really are this week. And the first stop that we're going to make is to the Astro Repo itself, as always, right? And really, what a week. As I said right at the start, what a week. Activity like no other. We've had so much amazing work being done in and around the community, with new contributors getting in on the action. We had 254 commits this week alone to the code base, right across the branches. Of the 54 PRs that were that were on the docket this week, 46 of them were closed. Now that's an impressive 85% merge rate direct from the core team themselves. And 46 PRs is a hell of a lot of action. A hell of a lot of action. And the issues were equally strong, with 23 out of the 39 of being closed at a rate of 60%. Again, amazing action. And what we're seeing here, is like Matthew strong at it again with 30 odd commits. Really strong. And yeah, normally we'll be going through the release logs. And well, the tsunami of the releases this week was insane. It was actually insane to try and think about how to keep up with them. So, and the dam burst on Tuesday with 6 releases that was early on. And then by the end of close of play on Tuesday, we had 3 releases to main alone. We finished on beta 50. And there were 6 more made to the Astro Integrations. That was 12 releases that came out in a single day, guys. Wednesday was no respite either. Thursday was 3 release Thursday. Friday saw a hell of a lot more. By midday Friday, we had seen 8 releases for the integrations, and then 2 releases made to main. The latest release to end the week on was beta 56. Now, this is setting an all-time weekly best for Astro with 29 releases in a single week. And these were pertinent releases, guys. These were releases that come with real value. These are releases that is actually going to change the way that we're going to be actually decoding. There's going to be new ways to code in Astro as well that I'm going to show you. I've literally ran through just the release cycle. We've not done what I normally do and go into that in a wee bit of depth. And thankfully, I have managed to get it by the editor in such a way that we can. And all I'm going to do is to give you all the hot takes from the week. And so to cover all the 29 releases, right, would take me right the way through to next Wednesday. And personally, I would highly recommend you take the time to read the release notes that came with all the details of each release that was published last week. And like I said, here's the hot takes. Now, the first one is a huge one. With beta 50, we now see significant improvements to the actual build times for the Astro sites right across the board. When Tony even agreeing that the time saved is huge news in itself. Not the fast build times, but this contributes. A faster build time means time saved. Time saved is money saved. I mean, just think about the efficiency that you now have, especially when you're deploying. The extra build minutes that you've now saved. Guys, this improvement is huge. The change with Astro is not by building everything statically like it used to, right? So in the past, up until beta 50, Astro would go about statically analysing all Astro files. Matthew's managed to make a fair bit of work that it no longer needs to do this to dynamically run code in order to know what JavaScript needs to be built. Really is an impressive feat of engineering, this, guys. So again, if you are saving money, by all means contribute some of those pennies back to the Astro open source collective, because we'll put that money straight back into helping our contributors and our maintainers and our projects that support the Astro project. So yeah, thank you very much, Matt. You've made Astro and everybody else a whole lot richer. And then the next one up is improved prop serialization. Fancy words coming from a Glaswegian. So this fix basically helps address an edge case that allows props to be serialized as it comes across the server to the client. Okay, and this really addresses a build failure with hydrated components. As shown here with the counter, right, when there is a null value in the property, this would throw in the past, right, with a very obtuse error to state what was happening. Now, this code block won't throw. You're now able to pass null values and have them do the work on the back end. This fix was done by a contributor from the community, and more on that in a wee bit. And then we have many TypeScript improvements. Many TypeScripting improvements. Many TypeScripting improvements. This merger basically makes Astro files fully TypeScript enabled. And this is good, guys. Trust me on this one. For all those who are not on the TypeScript train yet, this is actually good news. I'll let the fuzzy tell you why. It is better to have headaches than it is to have bugs. Headaches you could cure with a paracetamol. Bugs you cure with money. Alright? Anyway, I have the ability to switch into TypeScript when you're building your components and working when you're when you're fetching data, etc. Getting type safe data coming back so you know what the return response is going to be. That way you could code your components better. You could develop your layouts more confidently. You could build your pages with complete certainty. That's what TypeScript gives you. We make this environment easy for you because you're in Astroland. You know how to play, and TypeScript is there for you. It is not going to run against you. And this is amazing, right? You can even use TypeScript inside your script tags, guys. Import.meta.env, our favourite Vitism, by far the one that tops the list. What normally happens in Astro? What normally happens in Vite? If you have import.meta.env kicking about in your code base, Vite will pick that up. Vite listens for that, right? And Vite will pick that up, and that's a Vite thing, and Vite will do its thing with it, right? In this particular case, it will load the environment variables. With Astro's Markdown story, this is a real pain in the ass. There's been many hacks, many attempts, and many fixes for this. Thank you to Hippo for the amazing improvements you made to the way that we handle the markdown files. Also to make sure that we could use it without so we could write this just in text now. We don't have to wrap it, we don't have to escape it. This is, he's managed to turn around and get Vite to play deaf basically. Well, go tone deaf when it comes to import.meta.envs in Markdown. Aye. Really enjoyed this one because this should be the final nail in the coffin for this problematic, neurotic pain in the gluteus maximus. Next we have a great, this one here, right, will literally skip you many by surprise. Inline small hoisted scripts. What does this mean? Well, script tags are hoisted by default now. They are, unless you stipulate that they are as inlined, then they will be inlined onto the page and they would be escaped from Astro's bundling process. But if the files are small enough, we could actually get a massive performance improvement from this. And this is what has happened. Especially this has helped contribute to the increase in build times. Without the dependencies are inlined into the HTML rather than loaded externally. And this uses the Vite build asset inline limit to determine if the script should be inlined or not. So once it caps a certain buffer size or byte size, then it would just be inlined. You'll get the file, but if we can, we will. The next hot take for the releases was the removal of post-rendering head injection. Now this change makes it so that the head injection to insert components, style sheets, hoisted scripts, for example, to happen during the rendering step than as in a post-rendering step. And this is to enable something really cool, and we'll explain that more later. But this change will only be noticeable if you're rendering your head element inside a framework component. FYI, please don't. You might think it's a good idea. Trust me when I say this, it really isn't. But if that is the case, then the head items will be injected before the first non-head item, the first non-head element in the Astro file. Okay. More information on this is again within the release notes, guys. This is an under the hood thing. You won't really realize it, but this has definitely helped increase again the build performance that we've seen. Next up, I know somebody who's going to be really happy with this. So Dan, my man, name slot support is here, and this really enables renderers to take advantage of name slots. Now, name slots was something that you could do with Astro components, and now we're just going to take a look over some of the API usage that you're going to be seeing. Okay, let's say you want to build a sidebar component. Previously, you had to put all of this code inside a framework component for the best developer experience. With this PR, it is now possible to pass named Astro slots, like we just mentioned, to the framework components for maximum composability. And that's what you're seeing here, where the theme toggle, we're passing it through the name slot, and we're also hydrating it when the client becomes idle. And this is also nested within a sidebar. And within the sidebar, we just have a simple HTML heading element that is just going to serve as our title. Okay? And let's just take a look over what a sidebar JSX file will look like. And this is the same for React, Preact, and Solid. Name slots will be converted to top level props, as you can see here, where you have title, toggle, and children. Very similar to the way children themselves are handled. These props are framework components, not strings. Okay, the default slot would still be passed as children. So children would always be default, and any name slot would also be passed as a top level prop into React, Preact, or Solid components. Then we move into Vue, and Vue API support slots. So Astro will pass the slot contents using the Vue's normal API. Okay, not much to sing about and dance about here. It is just a lot better and easier. Svelte. Svelte's API also supports slots, like Vue does. Astro will pass the slot contents using Svelte's normal API. However, this PR also allows us to get rid of our strange Svelte wrapper component that has been prone to breaking, guys. So this change should see a better DX for yourselves for those Svelte trained astronauts in amongst us. Honestly, I am so happy. This is what happens when you kick a can, like Pascal did. HTML streaming is now part of Astro, ladies and gentlemen. Right, and you might have seen this the other day or two in the community when it was just announced, but Astro now supports streaming in templates. Anytime Astro encounters an async boundary, it will stream out the HTML that occurred before it. So, taking a look at this example here, the load tools is the async boundary, right? And it will load absolutely everything, and then once it reaches that, then it stops. And the load tools, which is also an Astro component, will stream its contents as well. Okay? Now, this means you could do the actual following, this madness that you're seeing here, utilizing an actual async generator function, and inside that we have an iterator or a for loop, and we're just basically going to go over a range of numbers, and we're just going to basically, when it says yield, that is the next thing, like the next return. So we're going to wait a second, and then we're going to yield or return a list item, and in that list item we're going to put in the new number that we've generated, and the generator functions are denoted by the little star, this little asterisk that you see here. And then once we yield the line item, then we yield a little carriage return, a line return. And then this keeps on going, and this keeps on going on for all the length of the numbers, and then it will just end. But yeah, this is cool as hell, like really cool. And don't take my word for it. Watch Matt explain it for us.
Hey everyone, I just want to show off early preview what streaming looks like. So we have here an Astro page with a header component we're using, and then this list thing. I'll talk about this here in a second. But your basic Astro page layout. So we have a header component. This header component is waiting 2 seconds. It's just like a utility function I wrote, but all it does is it blocks for 2 seconds, right? So in our front matter, we're going to block for 2 seconds, and then we have a template. So what you should see happening in a streaming context is like all this stuff should go out. Then we're going to be blocked for 2 seconds, and then the headers content will go out, and then the rest can go. Then we get to this list. This list is just a function defined up here. If you're not familiar with this star, that's okay. But basically all this means is this is a function that can have multiple results, I guess you would say. So what we're going to do is we have a collection of numbers 1 through 10. We're going to block for a second on each one. So we go 1, wait a second, 2, wait a second, 3, etc., and call this callback. And our callback is here. So basically all this is doing is we're going to count to 10 and print out a list item inside of this unordered list. So yeah, in summary, we should see stuff, wait a couple of seconds, header, see this stuff, wait a second for each of these, and each of these go out, and then you get the rest. So this is the full streaming experience. So let me just blow up my terminal, run this, and here we go. Took a second, header. Every second we see a new list item, new list item, new list item, new list item. I don't know why it starts breaking up like this. I'm gonna have to investigate that. But anyways, you see it happening. There we go. That's what streaming looks like.
And as you can imagine, the joy to the response to this was amazing. Like, here's Fred himself. This is awesome. Be interesting to see what Ryan over at Solid.js would make of this. Now, for those who don't know why Fred would say why Ryan over at Solid.js, because Solid.js is currently one of those frameworks that is really pushing their whole rendering question to the limits. Especially when it came to the server-side rendering, the stream rendering, the streaming of HTML that they were providing. There were so many things that Ryan is literally one of the foremost experts in this field. So yeah, let's see what he said to this. Yep, Solid does support streaming, and he's very excited by this. And this for Ryan is pretty much, jubilations. So, a joyous Ryan. And a very happy Hippo as well. It's amazing. See what HTML streaming can offer the entire Astro community as a whole new dimension to how we serve our experiences for our clients. And here is a summary of the hot takes. Fundamentally, Astro has changed, and it's changed for the better. As of now, the Astro that we knew this time last week is not the same Astro, guys. These improvements alone on the screen prove this point. Like I said, it's now presented us with an even stronger value proposition for us to build and develop on into the future. And this is all on the pre-release side of V1. So come V1, Astro's not going to be what we knew it to be. And I always had the feeling that this was going to be the case. And I'm so happy to see it happening. And we're just going to be skipping over the integrations. Now, Lit has been upgraded, Vue and Svelte has been upgraded, so the latest one version of Vue and Svelte is version 2, 0.2. Lit is now on 0.3, and these are all just improvements for the name slot support. Likewise with Solid is on 0.2. For those who are utilizing these frameworks, React is also on 0.2. For React, basically all the UI renderers are on 0.2 or their most recent version above that. And we've also had Partytown. So Partytown is now allows you to actually have the scripts included in the server-side rendered manifest. So those scripts that Partytown makes, where those third-party assets that it just basically sticks into a web worker and sticks the JavaScript and does all that abstraction for us, that is now exposed in SSR mode. So Partytown in SSR mode, guys, party! But anyways, Nelify and Deno got a kick up the arse by Hippo. And then the telemetry got some real work done to it. Now this is off the back of Okiki's break it and make it attempt last week, where he had brought in optional integrations into Astro. Now you can pass in optional integrations into your configuration. So Okiki, make it break it, was realised that this had to be the changes had to then be reflected in the telemetry to capture the data of which integrations were being used and which ones were being turned off and for which environments, just to help feed that information back to us and help feed that information back to these component creators and integration authors. Now, So the sitemap is now finished on 0.21, and a lot of work is done by Alex. Now Alex has really took ownership and hold of the sitemap integration. He's got such a good mastery of this niche subject that we're so grateful to have him apply this to Astro. And sitemaps are really important to our project. So Alex, yeah, I'll come to your thank yous in a wee second, my friend. Right? But do take note of these changes, guys. There's two important changes at the footnote there. The one is that you'll always have the site integration will always generate two files instead of just the one that it used to. It will generate an index file, and it will also generate an actual XML sitemap for you as well. And now we're coming on to the core contributions, those that were made by our astronauts in the community that come and take the time to actually help add value to the project. The first one I would like to basically mention is Yugi. Forgive me if I said that wrong, Yugi. But he literally came in and helped provide the prop serialization support that allowed us to basically pass in null values into components without it breaking build. So thank you very much for your amazing work there, dude. I've seen the PR, and honestly the PR was amazing investigative work in order for you to find out where the bug was. And yeah, thank you very much for taking the time to do that, dude. Everybody who utilizes a UI framework is going to appreciate this one. And another huge shout out to dude, thank you very much. He actually came in and helped add a couple of cool tests for the integration API. Sorry for the tangent, I thought I had the name written down properly, but it didn't. And then next up is our good friend Alexis. As always, dude, we over here at Astro thank you for the work that you do, and we do think about you. We hope that you are well looked after and your loved ones are doing well as well, my friend. Hopefully this tough time should be coming to an end soon. And in that respects, Slavia Ukraini, my friend. And now we're on to the trippy world of the language tools. Eh? It's like the princess in her metaphysical multiversal world of dealing with like all the different language tools and the language server and all this stuff. For you guys, always please do put your issues, any PRs to help augment and add and extend the developer experience. This is where you would go to the language tools repo. And it is, like I said, we are stepping into the domain of the princess. And Erica has been back earlier than intended, I think. But we are so glad that she's still, over the past weeks, being in the community, and it's amazing. There was a new release to the VS Code extension, believe it or not, guys, after a couple of weeks. We've now got, like we said, added support for TypeScript inside hoisted script tags. Now, this does require Astro's beta 53 release, but now we're on beta 56, so yeah. The most recent one will keep you up to date. There's also fixed front matter completion regarding some situations where completions inside the actual front matter of Astro blocks was happening and then disappearing and then never coming back. This is great, so thank you very much, milady. For next up is our good friend Otomechi from ESLint with this amazing ESLint plugin for Astro. Guys, there is documentations for this. If you're not using ESLint in your package and your projects, I highly recommend you do it. Simply and only because it helps keep you safe when you make mistakes that you might not think are egregious, but they are. And then we're stopping over at the Prettier plugin. So yeah, by all means, guys, got anything that you'd like to help see or add to in the Prettier ecosystem, this is where you like to go. And we're now leaving the language tools and taking a wee trip over to the Astro docs itself and looking over our skilled set of linguistically trained writers that we got over the docs. The docs repo itself, the pulse for the docs repo this week has been fantastic. Again, 22 authors, the same number as this week in the Astro project itself. But here we've had 82 commits that were made. 30 out of 41 PRs were closed, and an equal amount of issues being closed as well, with 8 out of 15. And this was a 71% merge rate for the docs team this week. with 55% closure rate for the issues that were being opened as well. Now guys, this is a great activity. This is strong, especially when it comes to the way that you guys address issues. You're closing issues as they're being opened, PRs are getting merged, new content's getting added, and honestly guys, the docs this week, just like Astro, right, is now offering us a completely different value proposition as of this time of recording. The doc site itself is what I would say is completely new. It's the revamp, the changes that have been made to certain pages have just given the docs a complete new feel to it, and it's fantastic. It really is fantastic. The chat in this week in the docs was amazing. Now Hippo was basically, poked his eyes above the waterline for a second and noticed what I notice on a daily basis, right? The energy in this part of the Astro community, this bit of the Astro project, is insane. Like, fervent would be a poor word to describe it. And with the docs itself, it is a great step for new contributors to come on the scene, right? We've had actually these two new contributors I want to just shout out. You've never seen me do this in the docs. I think it's something I'm going to start doing more from now on, because we have so many awesome contributors that are coming in doing great work in terms of the content that they're producing and how they're managing the PRs they follow in the process. Here was a PR that came left field from a new contributor. Amazing. Thank you very much, Sebastian. We really do appreciate you taking the time to come in and just doing this for us. And as you can see here, he's a senior JavaScript developer. Yeah, coming in just to add us a wee robot.txt file to the project. Amazing. And then we had somebody who was 4 days fresh into the community. I mean, he wasn't even, settled in. And he's helped provide some really cool localization attempts for the new sitemap integration that was provided to us by Alexis there. And this is great. This is what we really like seeing in the docs community. Is just the amount of people that can come in, and yeah, the amount of people is insane. I think there's 121 authors now in the project, in the docs project itself. And yeah, is that too much? Is it enough? Is it not enough? Who knows? Sarah surely doesn't think so. And yeah, no truer words have been spoken. We also had a tweet put out by Nate. Now, again, this is one of those things, it's like when the core team do come into the docs team, right? They are honestly amazing. They leave with their mouths on the floor. Like, you guys have no idea the sheer admiration that is left with these guys. The mark that you leave on these guys. 4 weeks ago, in another episode of This Week in Astro, when we just talked about Hippo's amazing link checker, and this is honestly, it is amazing, guys. If you've not seen this in action, it means that you're doing a good job, but if you have seen it in action, you realize what an amazing job Hippo has done in putting this together. Now all this does is goes about, checks the documentation, right, and sees whether or not the links are correct. If there's a problem, it presents it in a clear and actionable way that is easy for the user to fix. It's tailored to our code base. It solves a problem that is easy to automate but hard for maintainers to catch manually. Like, that statement alone is real value that Hippo adds. He is amazing. And so yeah, Nate, I agree wholeheartedly with you, dude. Wholeheartedly. And there is indeed a custom command line for this. All you need to do is just hit up the autofix and the problems even get fixed for you. I mean, legit, this is a tool, a utility I don't think exists in any other docs project. If they do, I'm probably naive to say this, right? But it feels like a very unique solution that was provided to us for the docs project, and they've benefited from this, because this is one of those troublesome points when it comes to like the maintenance of a large project like the docs has become, and a multilingual project as well at that. And here's a wee snapshot of the CLI itself. It is pretty damn cool. Like, really damn cool. Honestly, I love it. And talk about the deploy page. This is the great work that Chris has done to the deployment page, right? We've got filters for static sites, filters for SSR deployment pages. You can get the pertinent information quicker without it all being that big wall of text that it was. Now, no fault for the wall of text, that's the way it was, that's how it was, and this is how it is, and I'm so glad that Chris has, honestly, Chris's vision for UI is brilliant. He's got a real knack for this and is amazing. It is fantastic. It is the great work that, the likes of Jan with the sidebars. I mean, look at the sidebars to the right on the screen here. We've got a dedicated contribution guide, we've got a dedicated community section as well. These are small things that Jan has added. Everyone has leaves a touch, leaves a positive touch, and leaves a miraculous influence in the project. And then now we're taking a quick look over the international team. Yay, there's my little space station. But the efforts to translate the docs team, the docs project, is a truly international effort, guys. And as always, it's like we value this part of the project so much. This is the stance of the docs then in terms of the goals to V1 and it all being updated. Nothing needs to be said about Jan and owning the Portuguese side of things, the Brazilian side of things for the docs. But nonetheless, we are making massive progress, especially with the French and the Spanish documentation. Both the Chinese and the Japanese documentation is making great progress. We're just waiting for the Germans. What I would say is, get the finger out, engage the Audi, and start getting these docs translated, guys. Now we're moving over to my part of the project, the support squad. And this week itself was actually, in retrospect, a very nice, quiet, placid week for the support squad. It was the support squad. I mean, the issues were easy-ish compared to what they can be. They were very well managed. Everybody was in there and out. It was simple. It was a simple week in the support squad. And this was, made by the 20 strong that we have that have joined us, and I'll put out a call in every week for those who want to take up the calling and join the squadron and take up arms and help your fellow brethren out in this cause. Because honestly, guys, we were talking about how to contribute to open source projects. Jumping in the support squad over time helps increase your proficiency in the code base, and not only just Astro, but generally speaking within the web development ecosystem. And it is a brilliant place to go and learn, especially learn your craft. And not only that, build relationships with amazing developers who are just looking for a hand. Really, that's what they're doing. They're just looking for a hand, and they're great chat. They're really thankful. They're really helpful. It's like you ask and they do. They're amazing. So yeah, jump into the managed roles and do join. But there is a new team role that was set up, and that was for the team development role. So if you want to keep in touch with any news about the development that's happening with the Astro project, you could go into the managed roles channel and just sign up to what you feel like. But again, a nudge towards the support squad, guys. And now we're moving over to the support heroes. Well, the heroes of the week from the support squad. These squaddies that come into action day in, day out to battle, Thanos pretty much head on. And my 3 legends of the week is Randall, going left to right. Randall is new to the support squad and he's already straight up as a hero. This is partly because Randall brings a lot of value to the community. He is very knowledgeable in the fact that his background, he is a very, very strong developer and really knowledgeable in most other things in and around the ecosystem, having been experiencing a lot of it for a wee while. And yeah, and just seeing him going in around the support squad really does show, it's like what what a calling the support squad is. It's a real joy that you get, and you can tell from the way Randall interacts with the developers in and around the community that he does enjoy it. So Randall, thank you very much, dude. You're one of my heroes of the week. Next up is my boy Ernesto. Gotta be there, man. I mean, this week there was And I've also put Kevin here as well, right? Now, Kevin and Ernesto came in to help a new astronaut in the community, and bless him, he's Spanish. His English is not that great, but he kept, and he's completely new to the community. There was a complete thread discussed in Spanish, and the native language that was accustomed to, and easier for our astronaut to communicate in. Both Ernesto and Kevin, both being native Spanish speakers, coming in and showing nothing but love, care, and support. And this is the thing, guys. Astro might be spoken in English, but we encourage to hear other native languages also discussed in our walls. It only adds character, only adds color, and it only adds vibrancy. We promote it. We've got many people from across the world, and yeah, it was amazing. It was really amazing as well. So yeah, guys, it does happen, and I would encourage it if you wish to, find out who else speaks your language and talk to them. That's what communities are all about. And we're coming close to the end of this week in Astro, and I want to finish on a particular hero for this week. And not just this week, guys. He has been absolutely crushing it this month. If you've watched the previous episodes, you know, like, if I was to accumulate off the top of my head, approximately he's put in about 150 commits this month alone to the code base. Now, the hero that I speak of is Matthew, and yeah, he is a true inspiration in terms of like what great engineers, how they operate and how they work. His code is fantastic. Like, if you do have a spare minute in the day, look up through the Astro repo, search Matthew by name, and just take a wee spin through some of the work that he puts out. Like you've seen, it's like he's now delivered HTML streaming for us. The work that Matthew, the care that he has for this project is insane. Guys, I say this again, if you're ever in the community and you see him about, just say thank you very much to, would mean the world to him. And yeah, Matthew, our hero, not of the week, but of the month. And dude, I hope you enjoy your holiday, man. You thoroughly deserved it. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is all, folks. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. It has been okay, I think. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this week's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. As always, for your week ahead, we just wish you all the very best. Whatever you do, fucking crush it. Alright? Make sure that you end the week with a smile on your face of satisfaction. Yeah, come back to me next week with that wee smile, guys, and I'll be happy. But otherwise, on that note, peace and love. Peace and love.